Wyclef Jean and Sean Penn are in an all-out battle. And it's because Wyclef wants to run for president of Haiti, and Sean Penn is upset about it. All right, so I want to start with a video where Sean Penn is saying that he's suspicious about Wyclef Jean trying to run for president. And he's talking to Wolf Blitzer on CNN, and he explains why he thinks it's a bad idea. So let's go to that video.
The last thing in the world Haiti needs, and I'm not accusing Wyclef Jean of being an opportunist, I don't know the man. But I think it's extremely important that we pay great attention to both the individuals in the United States who are enamored with him, maybe not for his political strengths, and in particular for corporate interests that are enamored with him, and those that may themselves be opportunists on the back of the Haitian people. Right now, I worry that this is a campaign that is more about a vision of flying around the world, talking to people, as he said. It's certainly not one of the youth drafting him. I would be quite sure that this was an influence of corporations here in the United States and private individuals that may well have capitalized on his will to see himself flying around the world doing that. What the Haitian people need now is a leader who's genuinely willing to sacrifice. And one of the reasons I don't know very much about Wyclef Jean is I haven't seen or heard anything of him in these last 6 months that I've been in Haiti. I think he's an important voice. I hope he doesn't sacrifice that voice by taking the eye off the very devastating realities on the ground and the very difficult strategic future that it's got in putting itself back together.
You raised some serious questions about the motives behind Wyclef Jean's decision to run for president of Haiti. And I want you to be more specific if you can, Sean. This notion that there are some corporate interests here in the United States who may be pushing him to do this. What do you mean by that?
Well, the people that I've spoken to related to his campaign and those on the ground in Haiti claim these things, and so really I'm putting this forward to a very important oversight committee, and that's the media. You know, I watched Rick Sanchez prior to this program talking about himself and his frolic with baseball as a child for a long time. And in the meantime, on my BlackBerry, a woman of 24 years old is dying because she didn't have attention to a tooth for the last 6 months in Haiti. I see in Wyclef Jean somebody who could well have been influenced by the promise of support from companies. I think that Haiti is clearly vulnerable to, in particular, the manufacturing concerns that it so desperately needs and the jobs that it so desperately needs, but with a history of American interests coming in and...
All right.
All right, a couple of things here. First of all, that's a giant elbow from the sky.
On Rick Sanchez, on the network that he works for.
Yeah, no, on both of them. Yeah, I'm going to get to Sanchez in a second. But first of all, I mean, he took Wyclef and he suplexed him, and then he dropped a leg on him, and then he went and, you know, did like a pile driver off the top rope, and he's like, he's a sellout, he's not in Haiti, he just wants to jet around the world. That's a lot of crap to throw on somebody if you don't know him that well. And then I wish he'd gotten more specific. Like, I mean, at the end, I think, like, Sean Penn comes off as self-righteous, partly because of what he said about Rick Sanchez. Oh, somebody's got a toothache, and I don't mean to diminish it. I'm sure has some serious problems with their teeth in Haiti or whatever it is. And Rick Sanchez was talking about baseball. But Rick Sanchez isn't allowed to talk about baseball ever because of what's going on in Haiti. Right. Now, that seems crazy to me. But if you're going to come that heavy, you got to tell me what it is, which corporations. What do you mean, right? Like, how is he sold out? What would they stand to gain? Historically, I know what corporations have done in that part of the world, but if you're going to throw that on Wyclef, you got to tell me why.
You have to have specific examples, and he was way too vague when Wolf Blitzer asked him to clarify what he was talking about. So I agree with you on that. And there were a lot of things surrounding Wyclef's charity to Haiti that were questionable. For instance, they had raised a ton of money, and they somehow mishandled 400,000. In other words, 400,000 disappeared. And it's like, where did that money go? So there are a lot of specific things that he could have mentioned, but he didn't. And I thought that was interesting. But anyway, so Wyclef saw that, and he was upset about it.
Really? I didn't see that coming.
All right. So he was rapping, and he changed the lyrics of his song, If I Were President, to send a message to Sean Penn. So let's watch that.
Sean Penn, maybe he ain't see me in Haiti because he was too busy sniffing cocaine. Yeah, I got a message for Prizewell. Even though you don't want to support me, I got love for you. Even though you only kicked 8 bars in the Fugees, if I was president, I'll get elected on Friday, assassinated on Saturday, buried on Sunday, they go back to work on Monday. If I was president, if I was the president, if I was president.
All right, so one throwing under a bus deserves another, apparently, and there goes Sean Penn under the bus with the cocaine charge.
Right.
Okay, one, I didn't think it sounded that great in the middle of that song, but number two, obviously, at least in my way of looking at things, Wyclef was going to strike back. That was a strike back. Sean Penn is, of course, outraged, and he has a counter statement.
He does.
Let's go to the boring counter statement.
His counter statement is extremely boring, but this is what he says. Mr. Jean is clearly unfamiliar with the physical demands put upon volunteers in Haiti. As aid workers there, the notion of depleting the body's immune system through the use of illicit drugs is ludicrous. More specifically, JP, Haitian Relief Organization, has a zero-tolerance policy for any and all illegal drugs. As a leader of the organization, Sean Penn has not only set this policy, but adheres to it. That Mr. Jean would make such a false accusation is reckless and saddening, but not surprising. Zinger.
Wow, you really nailed him there, man. This is like, who is Ice-T beefing with, that kid, Soulja Boy?
Soulja Boy.
This is like Soulja Boy and Ice-T, round 2, except really dull. All right, both of you, calm down, man. What are you, children? You're supposed to be helping the Haitian people. Instead, you're having this silly catfight, right? And, you know, Wyclef, if you're going to run for president of Haiti and Sean Penn gets at you like this, look, if in an interview you say, hey, look, his charges were ridiculous, etc., I hear you. But inserting it into the middle of a song, it just trivializes everything, you know? On the other hand, like I said, I knew he was going to respond. Sean Penn threw the first punch. Whatever. Both guilty. Both ridiculous.